Hi, Pumpkin. It's me, your dad, and we are here for volume 19 of my series, Hi, Pumpkin, a series designed to turn a awesome girl into a super strong, amazing woman with reasonable fatherly advice that's hopefully timeless and that you can come back to again and again. Today, we're going to talk about hard talks and some strategies on how to have hard talks. You're going to have hard talks your entire life, and people are going to have them with you. And as you go through more and more of them as you get older, you'll find some people do it really well and some people not so well. And I want you to be able to deliver them well. As you know, I've had to give a ton of them over the years, and it's never pleasant. So, right from the beginning, going in, okay, this isn't going to be super fun. So, what can I do to mitigate the ugliness, to get my point across, and not come across as mean or hateful as a jerk? Um, and there's a couple things I like you to consider before you have a hard talk with someone. First of all, you need to talk to them. It can't be via text. And I know your generation is super all about text and things like that. There's a time for text, but there's no tone or context to the written word. And if you think you can have a hard talk with someone via text, maybe you can, but it's not going to be effective. And if you do that, it can be wildly misinterpreted. Like, no, I didn't mean, I was trying to be calm. You were screaming at me. A million different things can happen. Whereas if you just talk to the person, it's a lot easier and there's a lot less wiggle room for negative interpretation. Your tone is going to be super important. You want to be calm and businesslike, not somber, not shrill, not mad, not condescending. There's a million different things you can kind of zip in, even especially if you don't like the person or you don't like what happened and you're trying to zing them too, which isn't the purpose of a hard talk. But your tone is very important, and keeping like a calm, business-like tone is important. So if you're mad at all, that's not the time to have the hard talk. Wait till that anger and that emotional wave is gone, and you can think clearly and just talk about, hey, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that, or this is what's going to happen from here. When you preamble these things, so before you start the hard talk, you don't have to be too detailed. You don't have to go too much into it. I would really caution you with emotion. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not this. I'm not. You. A lot of times people go into this big spiel on, it's not that I dislike you, or they go into. It's too much beforehand, and it sets the person who's hearing it up to hear negative stuff. Like, oh gosh, they get defensive because, oh gosh, they're starting off before they even say anything. They're telling me, oh God. So be very careful with that. Just, hey, we need to talk. And say what you need to say. And it's okay. A lot of times we worry, like, hey, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to make you mad. And there's a way to say what you need to say without being a jerk, without being mean, without being accusatory. And there's a bunch of different hard talks you're going to have over the years. You're going to have to, break up with people. And that's never pleasant. You're going to have to give people bad news. I mean, my whole life was giving bad news for a long time. I've had to tell people, hey, you don't work here anymore. Or the really terrible one is like, hey, your loved one is no longer here. When my dad left, I had to call like 35 people on the phone to give them the bad news that he's gone and here's the plans. And boy, talk about exhausting. It can be hard. But you want to kind of have a setup of what you want to say and do it in a manner where it's not overly emotional and overly intended to hurt or zing people, even if they've hurt you. So I think I have I'm married late, as you know, but I've had a million breakups, but I can think of very few that were ugly. Even when things went really bad, like, okay, uh, what I've learned from this is you don't want to be with me or I don't want to be with you. And we can move forward from there and be adult about it. And I don't have to be a jerk. I don't have to hate you forever. I don't have to say mean things because that doesn't accomplish anything. So what you're trying to do is get across what you want to say and hey, I'm quitting this job. Hey, I'm not going to do this thing you want me to do. And this came up because we had a hard talk this week. And I think it went really well because you were able to say, here, this thing you want me to do and that you really want me to be a part of, I don't want to do. Now, it was helpful because I was able to prompt you through it a little bit and I had some third party information that kind of backed your play that was nice. But it's also nice for you to be able to say, hey, I think a little differently than you, and here's why, and here's what I want to do. Even knowing, hey, you're going to disappoint somebody, or you're not going to make them happy, or they're not going to like what you hear. You can't go through life trying to make everybody happy, because if everyone in the whole world is happy and you're miserable, there's no point in that. Now, that's not to say you be a steamroller and no, I don't like this, it's gone. I don't want you to be flippant about it. I want you to be considerate of people's feelings for sure. But I also want you to be very protective of who you are, what you want to do, and what you want to be a part of. Be straightforward. Don't beat around the bush. And that's really hard. Don't downplay your feeling. Oh, it might just be me, but no, say what you need to say and be straightforward about the reasons why. And you don't have to bash the snot out of somebody. You don't have to give a long litany of a history, like for breakups, for example. You don't have to give, a 90-minute dissertation on how this person's terrible and all the bad things they've done. Like, hey, this just isn't working out. Or, at some point you're going to be hopefully higher up in an organization where you have to fire people like, hey, this isn't working out. It's just like breaking up. And not to explain kind of why, but try to be considerate of the other person on the other side of the talk because you're going to have these talks too over the years. And again, some of them aren't going to go well. And be considerate of their feelings as well. Even if they're not nice people, that doesn't mean you're a jerk. Just because someone's not nice doesn't give you permission to not be nice. And they may react poorly and scream at you and do all kinds of other stuff like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And thanks for hearing me out. And you're going to have to leave it at that. But then you leave intact with your dignity and your pride, and you do okay. If you need to apologize, but be cautious with that. Don't, hey, I'm really sorry. It's just not working out, and we really try. No, if it's not working out, it's not working out. I would consider most of these talks like business talks. Like, hey, this isn't a good fit, and neither of us are happy, or you're not performing well here, or whatever it is. Hey, I don't want to go to this college, or hey, I'm going to change majors, or hey, I want to go to this other thing and do something completely different altogether, and have some reasons for it. But don't go overly into the apology thing, or it's not you, it's me. There's no reason to blame yourself for things. You got to where you are for a reason, and it's okay to do that. Don't put the talk off for too long. Now, don't do it immediately. The first time you think, oh, nah. But if you get to a position where you know, okay, this isn't working out, or I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to play this sport, or I don't want to go on this trip, or I don't want to, whatever it is, I don't want to date you anymore, I don't want to work here anymore. Give it enough time to where you've given it a good college try to where you can say, okay, I didn't just give up early. I've given it a solid effort. And now I have enough data in my head to understand, okay, this clearly isn't for me and I need to end this. And tell the person, hey, I need to talk to you. And don't do the, hey, I really, I'd like to have a hard talk with you and I need to do it next week. So there's a couple of rule of thumbs that I learned in my executive role in my last career. Don't give people bad news on a Friday so they sulk about it all weekend or before they're going on a trip or, maybe they're going on a family thing or who knows. You don't want them thinking about you the whole time. So give it, hey, we need to have the hard talk, but if you can do it earlier in the week, it's better. And I'd like to do it today or tomorrow. Something so they're not stewing on it and calling everyone else, what's going on, or why do they think this? And it turns into a bit of a disaster. And sometimes it's hard to catch people cold, but it's generally best because that way there's not a lot of lead time to where they go back and, oh my gosh, what could have happened? How can I fix this? What can I make better? You want to keep people in suspense. And then just be honest. And it doesn't have to be a long talk. Sometimes people will try to talk you out of that. I think it's okay to engage in that to the extent that you want to. But if you've decided, you've decided. Like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Or whatever, again, the most common context of this is a breakup or a job. Like, we're going to fire you. And you can't really talk yourself out of that. Even if you do, you're just putting off the inevitable. Because if I'm at the point where I'm telling you I'm done, or you're fired, no, I'll work really hard. I'll try really hard. Okay, we'll give you another chance. We're going to be back here in a month having the same talk, and we've wasted a month. It was silly. Same thing with dating. Same thing with a bunch of other stuff. When you put off these hard things like, hey, I've got to tell my boss this, or I've got to tell someone else in my life that, or my kids, or my parents, or my brothers and sisters, whatever it is, it's okay just to like, hey, look, here's the deal. And the more business-like you are and the calmer you are, the better it is. Because if you go in and you're mad and you did this and that, and you go on and on, you have this giant, you're not trying to prove a case. You're not a lawyer. You're trying just to say, this is what I've decided, and here's where we're going to go. Because at that point, I don't want to argue about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've already decided. And sometimes when people try to, well, because they want to argue a little bit, like, look, I've already decided. I'm sorry. So it's okay to have hard talks. Your whole life is going to be full of them. They're really difficult. They're not fun. And some go well, some go not so well. I've had the whole spectrum of that. Largely at my last job. In fact, my last job was I gave so much bad news. When I retired from that, I considered a career in HR because that's their whole job too, is giving bad news. Like, hey, I'm really good at giving bad news. I've gotten really good at it. So something to consider, be considerate of other people's feelings. Don't be a jerk. You're not trying to prove a case. Be true to yourself, but be businesslike, get it done, and be done with it. So that's all I've got for today. I love you. I think you're great. You look fantastic today. I love spending this time with you. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you're having a fantastic day. I love you, and you're the best. Bye, Pumpkin.